Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Tickling Tuesday. So sorry there was no Tickling Tuesday last week, I just had so much to do, so let's get right started with this one. I will be using 3 mini stamp sets from the Alleyway Stamps. It's the iconic Meltdown and the Christmas Express, and also the big stamp set that's called Out of This World, and this is from the new release. I will be using a white piece of cardstock and my EK Success powder tool because I will be using some embossing. I will be doing some embossing, and I really want the embossing powder to only stick where I want it to be. So to prevent the static cling, I use the EK Success powder tool. And then I picked out a big star from the iconic stamp set, and I will be stamping with Versamark ink and white emboss it. But first of all, I decided to mask off a white circle because this will be a card with a moon, and I wanted to mask off the moon. And then I started stamping the biggest image first. I will be going in with some smaller images later, but whenever I stamp a background, I start with the biggest first because it's easier to fill in the empty space with the smaller ones. I don't know if you saw this, the acrylic block dropped out of my hand. Just yeah, the stamp fell onto the paper again in one place, and I had no chance to get this cleaned off. I tried to do it with a brush, you can see this. I did not get it clean, so I just rubbed all of the embossing powder off and left this out and stamped another stamped another star in another place because this was random anyway, so I don't care to get this in the perfect place. I embossed that with my heat gun, and then I used the same star again, the big one, because I will be using a different embossing powder on this one. I will be using some Wow Calypso embossing powder, which is a teal color with lots of glitter in it, and I thought for a starry background in the sky or in outer space, some glitter would be very cool. So I added the stars, and again the acrylic block dropped out of my hand and the stamp left an impression on that paper. I just rubbed that off with my brush and stamped another one, and this will work. So this is the easiest way to deal with things that go wrong. Especially with random stamping, this is very easy. Then I took a very small star from the Christmas Express stamp set, and again I randomly stamped that onto that piece. Used the Calypso from Wow again, and I really think this glitter embossing powder is very cool. I'm so happy I got this. I always use brush to get rid of all the excess, because I did not use the anti-static powder in between. I maybe should have done this. And the last step is to go in with the smallest one again and add in some white embossing powder. So I have the big stars in both colors and the small stars in both colors, and this is perfect for the it's not a sky, is it? Yeah, our space. Okay, for the space. And you can see with the random stamping, I did not see where I stamped the Versamark ink, so 2 of the stars are very close together. I just don't care. This will look awesome, I'm sure about that. Okay, I heat set that with my heat gun. And this was all the embossing that I did on that piece. And then I took out some distress inks in Broken China, Stormy Sky, Chipped Sapphire, and Black Soot, because I think these dark and medium blue colors will look awesome in the space for an outer space card. I use the usual ink blending tools. I do not have the round ones, but I hope to get them for my birthday, so maybe I have the round ones soon. But I have to say that I really get along with those ones very well. Maybe you see that the Stormy Sky is a very, very juicy ink. This is because this, okay, yeah, I'm a little bit clumsy, and this ink pad fell into my coffee some days ago, so I had to wash off the coffee with some water, and some of the water, yeah, got under the lid and into the ink pad, so this is very juicy now. I think I will have lots of fun with this ink pad for a long time, because yes, it's very, very juicy and wet now. So if one of your ink pad dries very fast, just use some droplets of water to get it juicy again. Okay, you can see this is the sky that we created, and then I took off the mask and I made sure to get all the ink off the stars and the embossing. And then I peeled off the mask, and I think this moon really looks very cool. So it's time for the Meltdown stamp set now, because it has those tiny aliens, and I really wanted to stamp one of the aliens, and I could not find the right placement, and I was a little too lazy to fuzzy cut the alien, so I stamped it right onto the moon and colored it in with some markers just in place. My favorite Delta markers for green are, I think it's the 56, the 46 and the 48. The 48 is a yellowish green and a very light one, and I think those three work together very well and give very nice shading. So if you use Delta markers, this is my recommended green green combo. Okay, I colored the little alien in. But this looked all a little too plain, so I decided to add some shadows with a distress marker in Iced Spruce. And yeah, I just drew some lines here and there, and then went in with some water to spread it around. The moon was very bright white, so I tried to get kind of an off-white color on that to make it look a little more dimensional. And this is why I also added some of the streaks there. I think the result looks pretty nice. Maybe I should have added some of the shadow more to the bottom of the moon, so have nice shading from the bottom to the top, but that's okay. Then I took one of the sentiments from Out of This World, and it says, "I love you to the moon and back." And those sentiments can totally be bent on your block. You can see I bent this one, and I get the very best impression with these solid stamps where a sentiment is cut out with the Simon Says Stamp black ink. I keep it on the lid, so the ink is on the top of the felt, and I really get a very, very solid and good black impression with this one. And I only have to do it once, and I get a very nice impression with that one. Can you see how bright and crisp this image is? I'm so happy about this, and I really love the Simon Says Stamp black ink. I heard that the Hero Arts black ink is very close to this, and I know that the shadow inks from Hero Arts and the Simon Says Stamp inks are very close, and they have the same formula, but I did not try out the black Hero Arts ink, but I think this can be used as well. I cut it out and left it a white border to make it pop on that background. And then I just assembled the card with some dimension adhesive from my big Scotch tape roll. I could probably have used a little less of that tape, but whenever I have a panel of that size and I want to adhere it, I try to use as much of the tape as possible to get it very straight on the piece. And the next thing is that I used ink on that piece, so it might be warping a little bit because the distress ink is kind of wet and water-based, so this is why I use that much of the tape, to really get it straight and to prevent warping. Okay, then I assembled the last piece, the sentiment, and I used it to kind of ground the little alien to, yeah, it is standing on the moon anyway, but I thought to have the sentiment on the bottom and make the alien kind of stand above it looked really nice. But I realized that something was missing because it says, "I love you to the moon and back," and there was no heart on the card, so I really had to change this. So I took out some itty bitty tiny hearts that I cut out with my Silhouette ages ago when I cut a stencil from red paper, and I adhered those hearts with my tape runner. I tried to use 3, but then I decided, that 2 would be perfect, and then I just adhered 2 of the hearts above the little creature. And I had a hard time getting the adhesive on that, but I just do not like liquid adhesive, especially for tiny pieces like that, because the adhesive will flow around and you will see it. And for the last finishing accent, I added some glossy accents to the alien because I always love to have something to touch on every card. I hope you got inspired and emoji got tickled. Thanks so much for watching.